Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I haven't filmed over here in a couple days, so I probably have lots of meditations to read from. So let's get into these. These are the Melody Beatty books, my favorite meditation books of life. As you can see, because they are so weathered and worn, let's get into these meditation books and see what the meditations for today say. And I will also look back over the last couple days before I pick which ones I'm going to read. And then we'll see what the universe is saying. You know what I should do? But then I would probably just pick the same one over and over again. I should probably just go like this and see what is the universe saying to us today. It is saying to us, directness. Should I read this one about directness? This is from July 3rd. So much of our communication can reflect our need to control. We say what we think others want to hear. We try to keep others from getting angry, feeling afraid, going away, or disliking us. But our need to control traps us into feeling like victims and martyrs. Freedom is just a few words away. Those words are our truths. We can say what we need to say. We can gently, but assertively, speak our mind. Let go of your need to control. We do not need to be judgmental, tactless, blaming, or cruel when we speak our truths. Neither do we need to hide our light. Let go and freely be who you are. Today I will be honest with myself and others, knowing that if I don't, my truth will come out some other way. Wow, that end part there. If I'm not honest with myself and others, the truth will come out some other way. And I think what it means by that is saying that if I'm not honest with my feelings and my emotions about things, about how I feel about a certain situation with my loved ones, my friends, my family, then it's going to come out any other way. It's going to come out as like unresolved resentment, anger. I'm going to seem pissed off. You know, my husband's going to be like, what's going on with you today? Nothing. Have you ever had those moments? But you're really pissed because you didn't share how you feel about something. You know what I mean? I think one of the things that I have had to really learn in my life, I would say especially in the last 5 years, I've really done a lot of work on this in the last 5 years, is that there's a way to be direct and also, like she says in here, tactful. Like you don't have to be disrespectful with somebody about being direct. I also, in my personal life, I also don't enter conversations I'm not asked to enter. So I don't like give unsolicited advice in my personal life anymore. I used to do that a lot. I used to enter conversations that I had no business being in. I don't do that anymore. First of all, I have no place unless I'm invited. That's just my truth. The second thing is, I used to put myself into conversations a lot, and then I would find out that like I was causing myself more trouble, and I'm on an emotional roller coaster, and then like a week later I'd be like, why did I ever even enter that? Like I had nothing to do with that. Like it's not about me. Like why did I even enter into it? So I don't enter conversations today that don't have anything to do with me. I don't give advice unless somebody says, hey, like I want to know what you think about this. If I do, if I feel like, if I'm worried about a friend or a family member of mine and I really feel like I need to give them a suggestion or advice, I always say first to them, hey, can I share with you what I think about that situation? I always do now. I always ask for approval first. Like I don't just go, well, what I think you should do, because I don't take well when people say that to me. What you need to do is, oh, I can't stand when people say that to me. You don't know what I need to do. But if somebody says to me, I think it's all in the approach. If somebody says to me like, and I don't even really need a preface. I don't need somebody to say, I love you and I don't want you to be mad about what I'm saying. Like that almost kind of sets off alarms in my head anyway. But if somebody says to me like, if they ask for approval, like, do you care if I share with you what I think you should do in that situation? Or can I give you a different insight? I'm like, yeah, I'm open to that but you have to be open to that because I want to hear somebody else's, point of view. I want to hear somebody else's perspective. The people that I have in my life today, and myself as well, we're open to that. Those are the kind of relationships we have. I don't have a lot of relationships in my life, but the relationships that I do have with people, those are two-sided relationships. Those are relationships where we say those things to each other, I've shared this example for years, but I can remember talking to my best friend Tanya years ago, and I would say something to her, I'd take something to her about some argument my husband and I had got into. I'm talking 15 years ago, and I'd say, what do you think? And she'd say, do you really want to know what I think about this situation? She'd ask for my approval, and I'd say, yeah, I do. And she'd say, okay, I think he's in the wrong. Or she'd say, I think you need to go home and you need to apologize to him and take some accountability for it. She was, and I knew that she loved me enough that she was going to tell me, she was going to be honest with me. I don't have people in my life that kiss my ass today. I have people that are direct with me, but they're not rude. They're not disrespectful. And a lot of those people, my best friend included, my husband as well, he's fantastic at this, have taught me ways to be direct without being rude. There have been times in my life that I have been very direct. I can be snappy, I can be snarky, I can be sarcastic, I can go there. I've had to learn to realize that it's not heard. It's not received if I'm that way. I think there's a time and a place for sarcasm and joking, but if you really care about somebody and you really love somebody, that's going to be a missed mark, you know? So I think it's a balancing act between, like, I think a lot of times we're told and you're inspired to just be direct with people, tell them your truth and stuff like that. I think it's also, and I really learned this a lot from my mom, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. My mom used to say that to me a lot. You know, I am a cusser. I try not to in videos, but I am a cusser. I could put $100 in a swear jar every day. I cuss a lot, you know? And I remember my mom, and this was when I was in early recovery, because she said, you're hanging out with all those old guys in recovery and they cuss so much. And they do. They do. They cuss a lot. And she would say, and the women do too. The women do too. But she would say to me, you know, when every other word out of your mouth is a cuss word, then people only listen to the words you're using. They don't listen to what you're saying. And at first I was kind of like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. That's not true. Like, she has no clue what she's talking about. But what I realized over time, and I'm talking many years it took me to practice this, what I learned over time was that when I did watch how I said things, or if I really, like in To Kill a Mockingbird talks about, like, walking around in somebody else's shoes on their front porch, if I really considered things from their perspective and their point of view and thought, if I were them, if it's something that I really care about, if I were them, how would I receive this information? And thought about that instead of just, it's my importance of being direct. Well, that's a point of arrogance, ego, and pride. I don't really care how anybody else receives me. I need to be direct. I need to be in my truth. Well, I think that we're so pushed in that direction that there was a point in my life where I was like, I'm never honest, I'm never direct, and whatever, that I almost swung too hard the other way. Then I was too direct all the time, right? Now I'm trying to pull it back and get kind of in the middle. And part of that for me is learning, if I'm talking to somebody, how would I receive it if they were speaking this way to me? And I think it's a valuable lesson because I've had to learn how my words affect other people. I don't think I thought about that for a very long time. I don't think I thought about the words I used. I don't think I thought about their impact. I don't think I thought about my intonation or the tone in how I speak. You know, I've had a lot of people say things to me through the years, and I've had to really take a look at it, you know, of like, that I come across as very angry, or that, you know, like I'm coming at somebody and in my head, it might feel like I'm coming 30 miles an hour, and to them it's like 90 miles an hour. I've really had to look a lot of that, you know, and what I've realized over time is that when I'm very, very conscious of that, but I'm still in my truth and I'm still direct, I think that the word direct has a negative connotation. I think directness is like, that we can be direct with somebody, you know, and say, I really care about you. I think you need to go to the doctor and get checked out. Like, I'm worried about you. And if you want me to go with you, I will go with you. That is just as direct as saying to somebody, you're not taking care of yourself and you need to go to the doctor because you're in bad health. Which way would you receive it better? I would receive it better the first way. I've had to learn that. I've had to learn that the way that I say something to somebody is going to impact, and it's also, I mean, like, if I really care about what I'm saying and I really need to be direct, don't I want my words to be received in a different way? You know? And so I really had to look at how people speak to me. And when I'm like, ooh, then I can't speak that way to other people. I can't repeat that pattern with other people. If people are speaking to me a certain way and I'm like, oh, I don't know about all that, then I can't pattern that behavior and do the same thing because I'm not receptive to it. Why do I think that somebody else would be? You know? And so it's been a learning experience for me. It really has, to be able to live in my truth. The other thing I've had to learn is that I don't always need to share my truth with other people. You know, like, I don't even need to share it with anybody sometimes. Just because a thought goes through my head doesn't mean I need to give it speech. You know, just because I think something or I feel a certain way doesn't mean that I need to verbalize it. I mean, I've really had to learn that, you know, that not everything that I think, not everything that I do I need to give credence to or speak about. It can just live out in my head and I can just move on to the next thought, you know? I think that comes from a point of arrogance, ego, and pride too, where we think, no, like, what I think matters too, and I need to share my opinion. No, we don't. We don't need to share our opinion about everything. Listen, this is one of the reasons why I don't get on social media as much anymore, because I see people share their opinions all day long. I get on the Facebook and somebody will share a paragraph, and then they're like, and I'm going to leave for a while because I need to take a break. And an hour later, they're like, I just need to explain. And I'm like, you need to get off the fucking Facebook. I told you I was a swear. But then they'll come back an hour later and say, before I take my break, I just need to explain this, and I didn't mean to do this, and I'm like, you just need to take a break. That's what you need to do. You need to just exit the Facebook. We don't need to always share all of our opinions about things. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to always do that. I had to learn that. I needed to learn that my voice is not the most important one in the room. There's other people that have opinions besides mine. You know what I mean? We can share our opinions, but like, is your opinion about, I think this is the other thing too, that as I've learned to practice that, what I've learned is what things are really important to me to stand up and say, I am going to speak about this. Because I would speak up about anything, okay? About a philosophical stance, about a political stance, about a philosophical belief, to a celebrity opinion. And I saw them all the same way, I don't feel that way today. There are definitely things that I need to stand up and speak about. And there are other things. If somebody wants to say something about, I don't know, a Kardashian, let them have their opinion. Okay, I am fighting over that. That's not worth it to me. Do you know what I mean? But if somebody makes a derogatory statement towards somebody else, I am going to stand up and say something, because that's when I need to do that. And so I've had to learn that and people listen more, when you're direct all the time and you're just like, you got opinions about everything. People stop listening, And I've learned that. I've learned so much about the power that we have and how we speak to people and what we say. It's been a really, really valuable lesson. And I've screwed up so much along the way. I really have. I've learned so much more from my mistakes than I have from doing it correctly. But what I have done is I've paid attention to the people that I respect and I listen to and I hear what they have to say. Because when they get through to me, I'm like, wow, like there's a wisdom in how they act. And then I want to have that as well. So anyway, I think I'm going to stop. That was kind of fun today, wasn't it? Just randomly picking one out. But if I do that a lot, then I'll just pick the same one over and over again. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.